Welcome to the Love Spark podcast. My name is Tonya Mavaros, a relationship consultant and coach. I utilize information and tools backed by years of research with my clients to help them deepen connection and strengthen their relationship.
And I'm Stevi Mavaros, Tanya's wife and a dedicated lifelong learner and advice giver.
Our podcast aims to bring relationship resources to all couples by not only telling you what they are, but by completing activities together in real time so you can hear them put into practice.
In addition, we'll also be interviewing real couples to learn more about their story, how they've handled conflict, managed difficult moments, and discuss the biggest successes they've celebrated.
We hope you enjoy and find us a valuable learning tool for you, your partner, or future partner. Let's get started. Disclaimer: this podcast discusses sensitive topics that listeners may find activating. Listening discretion is advised. Okay, so we are back with the third episode of this season where we are working through the 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work by John Gottman and Nan Silver. We are on chapter 3, which let us get our workbooks out. Chapter 3 is called How I Predict Divorce.
Super interesting.
This chapter by far has been one of my favorites. Okay. So we are in chapter 3, and of course the third-ish exercise from the book, How I Predict Divorce. And basically it reads, you may read through chapter 3 and recognize that your relationship exhibits some or many of the characteristics predictive of divorce, but don't despair. This does not mean that you and your partner are heading for divorce. The prediction of divorce is only for those couples who do not address these issues. These patterns can be turned around by making even small improvements to your relationship. The rest of the book and the 7 Principles course provides the knowledge and tools to help you build a strong relationship and help you avoid destructive patterns. I feel like that deserves a round of applause.
Indeed.
So I think we've talked about this, but for me, I think I actually mentioned this in the last episode, how we naturally do these things or not do these things. And then I heard about the Gottmans. I was like, oh my God, we do these things.
Right.
But when I was reading this book, it was like checking a box to my last relationship. This chapter was checking a box. Did it. Ooh, like master
predictor
of
that. Divorce? Yes. Predictor of divorce? Yes.
100%. So,
and what happened with that relationship?
I got divorced.
Weird.
Crazy.
What?
So I started our last session with my workbook pages. So I will let you start this session with your workbook pages.
Fair enough. Okay. So, chapter 3. The first sign. Harsh startup. Beginning a conversation with criticism, sarcasm, or contempt nearly guarantees that the conversation will not go well. On the other hand, beginning a conversation by using a softened startup allows for a much more productive discussion and outcome. Think of a time you began a conversation with your partner using a harsh startup. Now, I do recall that when I started working on the workbook, you immediately said to me, tell me if you have anything for the first one, because I can't think of one. I cannot think of one that happens between us necessarily, but I do have an example.
Oh, so this is not something that happens between us, but an example instead?
But it is.
But it does happen between us.
But it doesn't.
Okay, let's just go with what it is. Tell us. Do tell.
Okay. So,
it
has happened on occasion that I get home.
Yes.
And I notice something and have a moment of frustration.
Yeah.
And I generally will go, God damn it. Grumble, grumble, grumble. Blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
And
this is true, yes.
And you'll say, what? And I'll say, why can't you just whatever, whatever he didn't take care of or
talking about
didn't think about. Yes, talking about our child. So I start those conversations. It's not really that I'm trying to start a conversation with you. It's that you're in the vicinity. Regardless, it's a pretty harsh start. It's the
Mm-hmm.
best example I can think of because it generally does initiate a conversation between us, whether that's the intention or not.
And when it initiates that conversation between us, how does that go?
Yes, so the question, how did that conversation end? Mutual frustration every time. I'm
Mm,
frustrated with him, and I'm frustrated because I can't vent about it, because I get the sense that you're frustrated about me venting about him, and then that's a whole thing,
mm-hmm.
and it
Very true.
becomes a cycle of frustration, and there's no positive interaction that comes with that. We generally just kind of walk away from it, both feeling
Mm,
frustrated,
yeah.
right? But again, it's not really an us issue so much, regardless.
Okay.
So that's how the conversation ends, usually in frustration.
Mm-hmm.
How might the conversation have been different if I had used a softened startup instead? If I came home and I noticed, say, the dishes that I asked him to do yesterday, and he said he would do, you know, whenever, and they're still not done, perhaps, as a hypothetical, I could start with coming in and sitting down and just saying, "Hey, sweetness, I'm getting really frustrated with uh, you know, our son. He didn't do XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about how we could address this together with him?
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe we could have a more productive conversation than me just venting and that turning into a distancing conversation
Very
between the
true.
two of us."
Very true. That is very, very true. And I think that uh so one, we've recorded so many episodes now, I couldn't even begin to tell you what episode this was. But you and I have had this conversation about when I say I'm gonna do dishes
Yes.
and they don't get done when you think they should be getting done, because I'm just
Within,
like, I'll get
yeah.
them done eventually, just
Mm-hmm.
not on your timeline. And I think he too is of that operational standpoint, being an ADHDer. And so,
It's like you both think, okay, I'll be the next person to do this, without considering that, like, being the next person doesn't mean you get to choose the next time that
not
you
the
do
point
that.
right now. Anyways, point being is that yes, we could have a more productive conversation if it were addressed differently. And while it's not actually a conversation, right? Because, like you said, you come in and you're looking to just vent your frustrations, it still doesn't feel very good.
For you.
Right.
Right.
And so, but then at the same time, I think when I ask you what's wrong or whatever,
I'm not gonna not tell you.
I know. Anywho, okay, fair enough.
And I'm not
But that is a
gonna
very,
I'm not gonna try to poker my face my way through the house either. And I think that's the thing, is like, sometimes I do wish that you could just see me walk into the kitchen and go, "Ugh," and not feel the need to ask,
hey,
because you already know. Let's
honestly,
be honest.
I'm
We both know that you know why I just made that
I'm
sound.
already
We
getting
don't
better.
need to have a
I just roll
conversation
my
about
eyes and
it.
be like, whatever, and keep it moving.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
I do appreciate that. But for a long time it was like, what? Like, what do you mean what? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? What do you mean?
Yeah. So that's actually a really good example. I do
Yeah.
appreciate that example. That was a very good example, because you're right. When I did, because
Because
I
I'm
did
not
say,
trying to have a conversation about it. I'm just trying to have the feelings that I feel about it and move on with my day.
because you're right, because I said, man, we don't really do harsh startups,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're one of those couples that we just don't do that. And so here's my example.
Okay.
It was the best I could find as an example for a harsh startup. Okay.
Okay.
Think of a time when you began a conversation with your partner using a harsh startup. How did the conversation go? I can't remember the specifics, but I ended the call, which I think left us uncertain about our relationship until our walk and talk together. And it was
Uh,
the Chloe situation.
yeah.
And I don't I think the way that that conversation actually started is you were talking about hanging out with her, and I remember I said, "Did you share?" Do we need to should we give context, background context?
I mean, if you want to.
You were hanging out with a friend who at some point in time, I don't know if it was on a call or we were together or if it's something that you told me, but you said she had mentioned something about a cold sore or something of that nature. Do you remember what I'm talking about now?
I think so, yeah.
And I still don't feel like it was a cold sore. I feel like it was something else. Anyways, and I said to you, can you just moving forward not share any mouthpieces with her, whether that be drinking, smoking, whatever. Please don't share anything. And you're like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, okay, that's fine. And I was like, great. We have an understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had called and said that you had been hanging out with her, and me, as now that you know me better, probably not surprised that I did ask you.
Yeah.
I was like, did you share anything with her? And
Mm-hmm.
like, I think I asked the question because I just felt like I knew that you had,
Mm.
primarily because out of habit, maybe, or just, I don't know why, but I just felt like I should ask. And the silence over the phone that you gave because you knew you had, and you're like, oh, fuck, right?
Yeah, because I went, oh shit, because I hadn't even thought about it in the moment. In the moment that I did share
Mm-hmm.
with her, it was not even a thought. It just completely slipped my mind. And so when you brought it up, it was like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't even think about it. And like that whole realization and that visceral feeling in my body
Mm-hmm.
of, oh shit.
It's so interesting that you say that because my whole thought was motherfucker. So like as you're feeling the oh shit, I'm feeling the god damn it in my body. I'm being so mad. And I don't remember exactly what I said. I
You
think there
were
was a
pissed.
long silence and I said, I can't talk to you right now. I have to let you go or I'm going to say something mean. Like
We
something to that
Well, we
effect.
went back and forth. I basically was like, "Yeah, I'm so sorry I didn't even think about it." And you said something and maybe I said something and you said something else, but
I feel like if
we
you actually said I didn't even think about it, I feel like I probably said something really bitchy. No, actually, it wasn't. It probably wasn't bitchy. It was probably something more along the lines of like, seriously, you didn't think about it. I feel like I would have
honestly,
said
I
something
think it
like that.
was because I remember you always say that you've never yelled at me, but I do remember you got fairly loud in that moment
I gave you, I
before
gave you
you
this,
said,
I gave you the stern, deep down voice that I get when I'm super mad without and trying not to yell. I didn't yell, but I gave you the very bold voice that happens when I'm pissy.
"Yeah." And then you're like, "I have to go." And I was like, even when you said that, I was like, yeah, that's probably not a bad plan. It sounds like a good idea. You
Yeah.
sound pretty upset.
Mhm.
And I mean, I felt terrible, but also I can't make you not that mad in that moment. So all I can do is be like, yep, you go ahead and take a minute. I get it,
Yeah,
you know?
I think I listed it out for you of like how why I was mad and how it I like not remembering the specific conversation, but essentially why it felt very disrespectful and thoughtless.
Yeah, it was thoughtless
Yeah.
for sure.
So anyways, it wasn't a harsh startup, but it wasn't
Soft.
soft. Anywho,
It was almost accusatory immediately, which, like, you weren't wrong.
yeah, that's fair. So I
So,
guess it wasn't a harsh startup, but you are right. I did ask the question as a woman and a parent, damn well knowing the answer. Essentially, is how I felt about it. and I wasn't wrong. So really what happened is I ended the call, and I think that, but like I said, or like I wrote, it left us both uncertain about the relationship, because after that we hadn't
Mm-hmm.
talked. We did
Mm-hmm.
not talk for almost, what, 1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Almost 48 hours.
yeah, how might the conversation have been different if you had used a softened startup instead? Well, if I and I think that's the thing too, is I could have actually, like, looking at it now, it wasn't necessarily a harsh startup, but it wasn't a soft startup either. It was very accusatory in
Yeah.
knowing. And I could have used a softer startup, which I wrote, we could have enjoyed more time together and deepened our trust sooner. The discomfort of uncertainty would not have impacted other areas of our daily lives. Because I
Mm.
think once we had talked about it, it had bothered me for a couple of days. So then I was distracted. It bothered you for a couple of days and you were distracted.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So, chapter 3, the second sign, the four horsemen of the
Can I
apocalypse.
just say, I fucking love this example. I
The
love
four horsemen example?
yes, I love the analogy of the four horsemen, but really when you start hearing it, you're like, oh shit.
Kinda,
Yeah.
yeah. Negative communication patterns, if allowed to run rampant, are predictors of relationship failure. So the four horsemen of the apocalypse are basically uh, negative communication patterns. Now, I wrote this one, and I probably should have just gone back and rewrote this one because on the next page I completely rethought this question. But I'll tell you what I wrote initially.
Mm-hmm.
First, I'll say the four horsemen of the apocalypse are criticism, defensiveness, contempt, and stonewalling. So, criticism, bringing up an issue in a way that focuses on your partner's character or personality flaws rather than what you would like them to do differently. Criticism implies there's something wrong with your partner, that they're defective. This may include blame, name calling, or general character assassination. Now, I did put criticism for mine, which
Oh,
I
okay.
actually don't think is the one that I struggle with the most. Uh, After rethinking it,
Mm-hmm.
but as an example, I wrote down, I get annoyed about being interrupted and become really critical sometimes of, I don't know if I say it like out, I don't know how I say it, but I feel like I don't like when either one of us uses the word like that you're bothering me,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, because it feels very critical, like just like you, like the interruption, like you asking a question is bothersome,
Yeah.
but in some ways I get critical of you instead of being like, hey, you're being really bad about letting me like have my time to do my thing today when you're supposed to be doing your thing, so can we do better or
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I will say that after thinking about it more and getting further into the work, I would say defensiveness
Mm.
is actually the one I struggle with the most.
Yeah.
What? What now?
What? What?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I don't think it sounded like
Whatever.
that.
Anyway, defensiveness. Defensiveness is an attempt to protect oneself, to defend one's innocence, or to ward off a perceived attack. It is really it is really a way of blaming the partner. You're saying, in effect, the problem isn't me, it's you. Defensiveness escalates the conflict, which is why it's so destructive. There are two ways to be defensive: to counterattack or to whine, playing the innocent victim.
Mm.
So I would certainly say that I do tend towards a lot of justification
Mm-hmm.
and that I get defensive when you're pointing out that like I'm not following through with
Mm-hmm.
the things that I've said I'm going to do, and I'm starting to break trust.
Yeah.
uh I will I'm very often quick to say, well, the reason for that is,
Mm-hmm.
instead of accepting like, yeah, you're right, I'm not really pulling my weight, and it's affecting our relationship,
Yeah.
which I think it's understandable, but it's also something that I need to be aware of because it's not helpful. It doesn't it certainly is a negative communication pattern and doesn't make you feel any better about the interaction than I feel about it.
Yeah. I think that's honestly, as I was okay, first of all, it says select you, not your partner in
It
the
does.
workbook.
It does.
However, as we were going through this, I also thought about you and kind of thought about my perspective of you and
So
defensiveness.
you specifically didn't follow the rules of the assignment.
No, I did do, I thought about myself first,
Uh-huh.
but I then thought about
Uh-huh.
you, and I would say that defensiveness was the first one that I picked out for sure. Because, and the reason that I say that is because, and it's not that I actually thought about you specifically. It's as I was reading it, examples were popping into my mind.
Mm.
And there was an example that not too long ago we were having a conversation in bed. And when I was telling you how I was feeling, there was a lot of defensiveness. And then it circled into what I was doing wrong instead of just listening
Mm.
and taking that ownership. It was defensiveness. And then, but this is how you're doing wrong too, which was not helpful in the moment. And so
Did we get that straightened out? Did you like call me out for it?
I did not call you out for it.
Did I recognize that I
You
was
did not.
doing it? Did we have a decent resolution to that conversation?
I wouldn't say there was necessarily a resolution.
When was
I
this?
think
What
that
were
it
we talking about?
was a agreement to agree, really. We were in bed
An
and
agreement to agree.
yeah.
I love how we fight to agree on things.
We were in bed and I think I can't remember exactly what I had said, but we were in bed and I was basically talking about how I wanted to feel maybe I used the word romance, maybe it was
Mm.
I think I used the word romance, and I think I had some of the examples I had given is like I miss the that you just, you just start dancing with me or you play music and then we just dance together or just like little things like that.
Right.
And ultimately the conversation went the
Yeah.
way that it did, but that's
Got it.
that's the example that popped into my head. I can't remember what your defense
Mm-hmm.
was, why you didn't anymore,
That's not what we're talking. We're not here to pick apart.
but well, you asked, I was telling you,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
that was in agreement with what you had recognized about yourself. Because trust me, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, when I tell you mine. So there we are.
Fair enough. Just for reference, I will read the descriptions that the workbook has of the other two horsemen of the apocalypse. So another horseman of the apocalypse is contempt, a form of disrespect that arises from a sense of superiority over your partner. Sarcasm, cynicism, eye rolling, name calling, mockery, and hostile humor are types of contempt. Contempt is fueled by long simmering negative thoughts about your partner and conveys disgust. It is the most destructive of the four horsemen and strongest predictor of relationship dissatisfaction and demise. Now, I will say with this one that I love you.
We're not talking about me right now. We are getting through these
No, we already
definitions.
talked about me on two of these. Don't give me that face. But
Stevie,
no,
we
no.
talked about you as you read your own stuff. We haven't even gotten to mine stuff. So can you just read what's there so we can keep it going?
Can we not just have this discussion? No,
No.
why not?
We can get to the discussion after I read mine.
I would like to just point out that eye rolling is like built in, not controlled, just like bottle. It's like blinking for you.
That's kind of true. That's kind of true.
Eye rolling is like blinking for you. I will say,
Yeah.
there have been times that you have eye rolled in very inappropriate moments that feel pretty contemptuous, and I don't appreciate it, but I also recognize that, like, you literally don't even feel yourself
Right.
rolling your eyes half the time.
I
So I
don't.
really try to weigh it with that. I just wanted to throw that out there, that like I see this under the list of things that can be considered contemptuous actions, and it is something I have seen before, but I take it with a grain of salt, because I know that I have looked you in the face and been like, did you even feel yourself just roll your eyes at me half a second after you finish rolling your eyes at me? And you've been like, I did not. Like, ma'am. Okay. Have you blinked in the last hour? Good question. I'm going to assume so. Well, I'm going to assume you've rolled your eyes in the last hour.
That's fair.
Anyway, so
fair.
that's what I have on contempt. And the fourth horseman, stonewalling, the ultimate turning away response. Stonewalling is when one partner tunes out or completely disengages from the other partner in an effort to avoid or end conflict. So, between criticism, defensive,ness, contempt, and stonewalling, my love, which of the four horsemen do you struggle with the most?
I actually, so one of the things I have been thinking I wanted to do this year is get more decisive. Not helpful. So I actually oscillated between between stonewalling and contempt. I was like, not decisive. I know. So write down an example of this. So stonewalling, when frustrated, I choose not to share because I don't want to hurt your feelings, and I also
that's so frustrating.
I also don't want to be contemptuous or feel because I don't want to hurt your feelings, and I don't want to be contemptuous or feel that it is a pointless conversation. So let me.
Well, give an example of the contemptuous behavior that you.
Okay. One of the things that I wrote, I have other notes. Other notes
You
here.
have footnotes.
Yes.
Workbook.
So first of all, stonewalling, I think that we can both pretty much agree on. I choose, and I don't do it as a means of like, because I feel like
I know you're not trying to give me the silent treatment, but I still really don't appreciate it.
Yeah, stonewalling, I feel, in most relationships is a form of manipulation in some ways, right?
Yeah.
It is. I mean, the book has a whole other reason why people do it, but most of the time I feel like it is definitely within a adversarial conversation, conflict component, flooding, which this book goes into. For me, it's not necessarily that I'm doing this because I don't think that the conversation could be had. It's mostly, like I said, one, it just seems like it's a repetitive conversation. And two, I don't want to hurt your feelings. And so in the moment, I just say nothing. And it's like, it's fine, which I know that is my big problem. Big problem.
Ugh,
right?
The worst.
It's the worst.
Super annoying.
With that being said,
love you though.
What?
Love you though.
I love you too, baby. With that being said, when I look at the contempt, it's so a form of disrespect that arises from a sense of superiority over your partner. I don't actually feel superior to you. Sarcasm, cynicism, eye rolling, name calling, mocking, and hostile humor are types of contempt. I really don't do any of those except for eye rolling, which we just talked about is like blinking for me. Contempt is fueled by long simmering negative thoughts about your partner and conveys disgust. And that I think was the definition that made me go, oh, that's me for sure. And I think
Mm.
that it comes into the fact that we have an unsolvable problem within our relationship.
Mm.
And for me, when things happen that seem like they shouldn't have happened, so for instance, if you had forgotten something,
Mhm.
I don't think, oh, it's probably been a long day, or, oh, you know, maybe she's on her period, so she's got period brain, or maybe she's just tired. My first immediate thought is, well, of course she did, because she was fucking high.
Yeah.
So, and that's the one that I do struggle with within our relationship. And I don't like feeling that way, and I don't like having that thought. And then at the same time, I guess I defend it because I think to myself, but
Am I wrong?
am I wrong? It's logic, right? From this overarching example down to these very specific examples.
Mm.
Or I might not be wrong and I might not be right, but how would I know? Because there isn't anything to compare it to,
Mm.
you know? And so I think for me, that's the big one within the relationship. And really, I think I put stonewalling and contempt together because it is only this specific situation that I feel this about. And
Yeah.
because of that, I go, well, I don't want to be an asshole and say something rude.
Mm.
I don't know why I'm having a conversation because nothing's going to change. So why do I even need to talk about it?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Mm. Anyway, okay.
No other thoughts?
No, I mean I can see that. I definitely get it.
Okay.
All right. Chapter 3, third sign, flooding.
Yeah.
Now, this is something that I definitely experience. A sensation of feeling psychologically and physically overwhelmed is often referred to as flooding. When your partner's negativity feels so intense that you feel completely defenseless against further attack, either you either emotionally disengage in an effort to reduce or avoid the intensity of your feelings, or you escalate the intensity of your response. Now, first question, what is your natural response when you feel flooded? Now, for me, I will say that feeling flooded, I think actually triggers a trauma response that works very well for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know most people think trauma responses are always negative.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to disagree. Some trauma responses are highly effective.
Okay.
And this is what happens for me when I am feeling flooding. I get very still and feel hyper aware. I immediately start trying to initiate a positive feeling towards me and my partner, whether that's by making you laugh, by apologizing, or some other means.
Mm.
So it's, to me, when I get there, like that feeling to me is I have reached a danger zone and I need to immediately make a repair attempt
Mm-hmm.
if I start feeling flooded.
Okay.
How does my partner respond?
Yeah.
I think that when you recognize that the intensity gets too high, that you're pretty good about pausing
Mm-hmm.
with me and you're really good about physically comforting me. And I don't know if that's just because of having talked about it before or just knowing that I'm very much a physical affection person,
Mm-hmm.
but you're very good about when things have gotten very intense, reaching out, holding my hand,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we hug, maybe, adjust our sitting position so that we're seated a little closer,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be. So I think you're actually really good at recognizing when the intensity gets too high
Mm-hmm.
and when you're open to it, obviously.
Yeah.
you're very good at responding.
Do you ever notice, I don't know if you notice,
Hmm.
but do you ever notice that there are times that my comforting goes longer and longer from time to time? In between the times that I can tell that you're flooding, there are moments that I intentionally do not physically comfort you.
Hmm.
Usually, most of the time, it's like if you start crying, that's when I will physically comfort you. Or if like I can tell that you're going to start crying. But the other thing that I have thought about too is also giving you space to make I don't want to say to make you, but giving you space to feel those feelings and to still navigate while you're in them.
Hmm.
Because I know that when I don't feel good, you instantly want to try to find a way to make me feel better. And I have to ask you all the time, like, just, I don't need you to make me feel better. Just be here with me, right? Ugh. And I know that you,
Sorry. Yeah. Yep.
and I also know that you're not, I don't want to say you're not good at conflict, but you don't like conflict. And it
Very
can be
uncomfortable for
very
me.
uncomfortable for you. And I always want to be a comfort to you in those moments. But there are times, I think sometimes, that I don't because, and it's usually in the times where I feel like in some ways it is not my responsibility to make you feel okay
Mhm.
because you've messed up,
Yeah.
right?
And I don't ever expect you to. I think that it's just in the moments when things get overwhelming,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I can certainly sit in the discomfort of understanding that I've mishandled a situation,
Yeah.
you
But I will
know?
always say that I reach out, I can feel it.
Mm,
I For those who don't maybe have that intuition or have the ability to read energy or nonverbal cues, but there
mm-hmm,
becomes a moment in time where I can feel that it's time to comfort, no matter if you're wrong or not, or I was upset
mm.
with you or whatever.
Yeah, because there are definitely times that you comfort me when you are still very annoyed with me. And I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I
Okay.
I always still want to comfort you when I'm pissy with you.
I know.
I don't know why.
I don't know why
It's
either.
weird.
It is weird.
I'm like, ugh, so annoyed with you. Get over here. I need to hug the anger out of myself. I need you to do that.
Yeah,
Help me hug the anger out of myself.
that's fair.
Oh, you know what? It's like it's like that little guy in Mulan, the little angry dude, and the big bald peaceful dude picks him up
Oh.
and holds him and he's like, just, sway. Repeat after me. Ah, ooh, ah. Anyway,
Yeah.
yes.
So before I read mine, there are some key things that I want to point out from the book that I think are going to be that are relevant and will be helpful.
Okay, fair enough.
So we're going to circle back to stonewalling.
Okay.
Okay. Um, I'm going to read an entire paragraph because I feel like I cannot begin to tell you how many women within being an intimacy consultant, I have heard this scenario. We have
Hmm.
seen this scenario in media, and with women that I'm personally close with, we have talked about this.
Do go on.
Think of the husband who comes home from work, gets met with a barrage of criticism from his stay-at-home wife, and responds by turning on the TV. The less responsive he is, the more she yells. Eventually, he gets up and leaves the room. Rather than confronting his wife, he disengages. By turning away from her, he is avoiding a fight, but he is also avoiding his marriage. He has become a stonewaller. Although both husbands
Hmm.
and wives can stonewall, research indicates that this behavior is far more common among men in all kinds of marriages for reasons we'll see later. the reason that this happens, and I think I did a reel on this on Instagram or Facebook at one point, but the reason that this happens is because of flooding, right? And stonewalling, while it is part of the four horsemen, stonewalling happens because of flooding, and you know that you're flooding because of your body language, which is your fourth sign, which we'll talk about in a minute. But then the book goes on to say a marriage's meltdown can be predicted then by habitual harsh startup and frequent flooding brought on by the relentless presence of the four horsemen during disagreements. Although each of these factors alone can predict a divorce, they usually coexist in an unhappy marriage. So when we talk about it, flooding, which we'll get into the body language, but it's basically like you read the definition, it's an overwhelming physiological response that's happening.
Right.
Oh, I can't wait to get to the next part about the body language. It makes me so excited. But just keep in mind that like all these things tie together, and this is why they're basically the 6 reasons or causes that marriages / relationships fail.
Yeah.
So when it comes to flooding, from my standpoint, what is your natural response when you feel flooded? My natural response is to stonewall or to emotionally disengage. But caveat, or let me say, to emotionally disengage, and I understand that for me, I need to take a break to come back to it later so I can have a productive conversation. So I guess in some ways it's been an evolution of stonewalling, because before I very much did that. I don't think ever with you. I don't think ever with you within our relationship, but I was very much a stonewaller too.
Where you would just
Tune the fuck out. Tune out. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
You never tune out for more than like a day and a half with me.
Yeah.
Which is super annoying, day and a half, but like
I'm working on it.
I can live with a day and a half, I guess.
Yeah, but
for now.
It's not the stonewalling of I just don't want to engage in the conversation. It's the stonewalling. I guess you don't even want to call it stonewalling. For me, it's processing to really think about, how do I feel about this? Is what I'm feeling actually valid? Because there are times that I will feel some kind of way, and after thinking about it and not having a conversation, I'm like, oh, I'm being such a jerk.
Or like, then you eat something and you're like, you know what?
Or that.
Actually,
I was just hangry.
Not to say that that's ever happened right in front of my eyes or anything, but
it's like magic.
It is. It kind of is like magic. Care Bear magic.
How does your partner respond? My partner gets upset, frustrated, and feels uneasy knowing I'm displeased.
Ugh, uneasy is, I know, underselling it.
That's fair. That is fair. But that is my response to flooding. Is I fall in the category of stonewall, and I think the reason that I still say that I fall in the category of stonewalling is because really ultimately I should come back to the conversation at maximum an hour, honestly.
Thank you. That would be wonderful.
Says the person who says I'm still processing a day later as well.
Yeah, but I say what I'm doing. I don't just go, nothing. And that's the difference.
All right.
Chapter 3, the 4th sign. Body language.
Stop it. For those of you that don't know, think Little Mermaid.
Men up there don't like a lot of blather. Anyway, physical stress reactions in the body that occur during periods of flooding that are powerful predictors of divorce. The physical sensations, increased heart rate and blood pressure, sweating, hormonal changes, and activation of the fight or flight response make it nearly impossible to have a productive conversation. Recurring episodes of flooding signal that at least one partner feels severe emotional distress when dealing with the other. Whew. Yeah, you're having a physiological response to, quote, dealing with your partner. That's concerning, but Can you remember the last time you felt flooded? What did it feel like in your body? I do remember the last time I felt flooded.
When was it?
Because it happens consistently in two types of circumstances. It was Friday or Saturday last week in bed.
What happened in bed?
We got all cozy and comfy, and we got into Big Spoon, Little Spoon, and all of a sudden I could feel that you were crying, and I was like, what's going on? And you said, I'm just so angry. And I was like, at me? And immediate, like, when you said it, I immediately felt it, but I was like, at me? And you were like, yeah, and, so on and so forth, and told me more. But, like,
If you could talk about it, you can finish the sentence.
well, you were mad at me, and you were mad at your ex-husband, and mad just about the situation in general.
It was really about Nora.
Yeah, about having to put the dog down, basically, because it's not an easy decision to have to make with an elderly animal. Understandable. Grief, anger is a part of grief.
Mm-hmm.
But still, in that moment, hearing anytime you tell me that you're angry at me, it's immediate. It is an immediate sense of flooding in my body.
Yeah.
Because it's a very rare thing to hear from you. But it's also makes me immediately feel terrible. Regardless, that was the last time. That was barely a week ago, which is a good timing for this podcast because it's super rare that it happens. So,
right.
but it's super fresh. So
fair.
So, my body felt flushed and hot. My breathing got faster, along with my heart rate. I felt like my vision sharpened, and like I could feel my blood rushing in my ears, and like
all the telltale signs of adrenaline.
I was just gonna say, like, a huge adrenaline rush.
Yep.
And like everything just felt sharper all of a sudden, and it was just this complete full body sensation of
yeah, that's fair.
That's really the only way I can describe it. But yeah, that's what it felt like. So out of curiosity, because it does say here to ask your partner what they noticed about your body language during these intense interactions. Did you notice anything? I think I'm pretty good at controlling myself, but
well, yeah. So body language. Yes, I notice when you get flooded, you do tend to your lips tighten a little bit when you start talking, and your jaw tightens as well. But I can also see your skin get more pink. Like in bed, we were in bed, but
yeah.
And you do get a little more rigid in like your body movements and posture.
Stiff.
Yes. And then just your face. Like when you walk in the door, I can tell if you're annoyed already. I was like, and you can do the same with me too, but it's just there's just this I feel like it's the body tightness. Right? I feel like you're just more usually free flowing, and you're just, I don't say loose, but like there's an ease about you in your body most of the time. But when you are flooded, you do get very stiff and rigid in the way that you talk. You also talk even more slowly and very specifically, which we have discussed.
Yes.
At the time, I was not appreciative of it, and I did not like it, but we discussed. So, but those are some of the things.
I understand that when you over enunciate your words, it sounds rude.
True.
I just don't know how to not do it.
Yeah. I feel like those are the big things. And if we are touching, you do get your hands get clammy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you can feel me go into fight or flight. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Also, now that I think about it, because we were in Spoon, I can feel your breathing change. I can feel you actually. I can tell you want to breathe more quickly, but I can feel you actively regulating, not breathing fast and breathing slowly to calm down. I can feel that.
That's really funny because I don't even think about doing breathing exercises. It's just very natural.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
You say that like it happens all the time. Oh, I know.
It doesn't happen all the time, but I can tell.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Interesting.
Before I go back into Sharon's from the book. Okay. Body language. There's going to be a couple of points here. Okay. First, from the book. So, the reason that this happens with flooding and the physiological response and why men are stonewallers is because men, oh my god, it's so fascinating. This actually makes me really excited to like read about why this happens and then understand the biology and the science behind it and the history. Anyways, but here's what it says. One of the most apparent of these physical reactions is the heart rate speeds up, pounding away more than 100 beats per minute, even as high as 165 beats per minute.
Just like
when
exercise rates.
We are in conflict and flooding, right? Essentially. In contrast, a typical heart rate for a man who is about 30 is 76 beats per minute. For women of the same age, it's 82 beats per minute. The book then also goes on to talk about basically the history of our ancestors as, cave people,
strongly gendered in our roles.
Cave people. And it says, and men and women really are different, right? In 85% of heterosexual marriages, the stonewaller is the husband. It is a biological fact. Men are more easily overwhelmed by marital conflict than our wives. And okay, I'm going to read this. It's a long paragraph. If you want to fast forward to where I get to my stuff, fine. But I think this is relevant and I think it's very fascinating and it really explains this process and why this is important. As most nursing mothers can tell you, the amount of milk you produce is affected by how relaxed you feel, which is related to the release of the hormone oxytocin in the brain. So natural selection would favor a female who could quickly soothe herself and calm down after feeling stressed. Her ability to remain composed could enhance her children's chances of survival by optimizing the amount of nutrition they received. But in the male, natural selection would reward the opposite response. For these early cooperative hunters, maintaining vigilance was a key survival skill. So, males whose adrenaline kicked in quite readily did not calm down so easily were more likely to survive and procreate. To this day, the male cardiovascular system remains more active than that of the female and slower to recover from stress. For example, if a man and woman suddenly hear a very loud breath sound, like a blowout, most likely his heart rate will beat faster than hers and stay accelerated for longer, according to the research by Robert Levinson and his student Lauren McCarter. The same goes for their blood pressure. His will become more elevated and stay higher longer. Psychologist Dolph Zillman of the University of Alabama has found that when male subjects are deliberately treated rudely and then told to relax for 20 minutes, their blood pressure surges and stays elevated until they get to retaliate. But when women face the same treatment, they are able to calm down during those 20 minutes. It's interesting that a woman's blood pressure tends to rise again if she is pressured to retaliate. Since marital confrontation that activates vigilance takes a greater physical toll on the male, it's no surprise that men are more likely than women to attempt to avoid it.
See, and it's stuff like this that makes me wish I could have my brain studied to see if I have more of like a biologically middle zone between male and female brain.
Any scientist that may happen to listen, or if you know a scientist who has any studies that would like to know this, Stevie is available.
I'm super available for brain scans and studies. I'll tell you all the things. I'm super curious.
Yeah. So I really like this. I think that it's important because while as on a whole as a society, we are seeing men be more receptive of understanding their emotions, of how to process their emotions and how to talk about their emotions. just because that's happening doesn't mean that it overwrites their biology.
Here's the thing, though, right? I am more prone to flooding than you are. And yet, I still manage my interaction with you through that.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's the thing is, yeah, you can't change the fact that you're biologically more inclined to feel emotional overwhelm, but it is still 100% your responsibility to mature enough and be civilized enough as a human being to manage your emotional reactions and how they affect your interaction in your relationships.
Right. And one of the, I can't remember if it was a reel or I don't know, but at some point in time, one of the things that I had said was, if you start to feel flooded, I would encourage a person to try to stay in that a little bit longer, basically like exposure therapy, right? If we can stay in it 5 minutes longer, and then leave and come back as a reset, and then maybe 10 minutes longer next time, right? I just think that the point is that these are things that happen. It is not an excuse to not do the work to be able to have good conversations with your partner.
Yeah.
Yes, I will openly acknowledge we are two women in a relationship. And so for us on this biological level, it is easier for us to regulate and to come down and to be able to circle back.
Not to say that we've had our chromosomes studied or any
that.
hormonal studies done to actually see where we land on the spectrum as far as your biological and physiological gender markers go.
That's fair. That's true.
By all accounts and appearances.
I just want to address the fact that there will be people who listen and say, well, that's easy for you to say, you're two women.
Yes.
So
fair enough.
We acknowledge that, but we're also encouraging you to do the work.
Yes.
Okay.
And
so
I would also argue in that not all women handle themselves particularly well. It's a mark of emotional maturity, not a gendered ability.
Very true. Very true.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay.
So, how do you feel?
Can you remember the last time you felt flooded, and what did your body feel like?
Tell us. Curious.
The last time that I felt flooded, I do remember that, and my body temperature rose. So when I do get flooded, I can feel instantly my body temperature rise. I can also feel my heartbeat quicken. So I think one of the things for me is I've done a lot of this work before getting into a relationship with you and really understanding all the things.
Yeah.
And I find that I'm very present in my body when conflict does arise. Right.
Okay.
And so I'm very, very aware of the physiological response. So my body temperature rises, my heartbeat begins to quicken, and I also can feel my nerve endings being set on fire. Like I can literally feel my body vibrating with that body
adrenaline.
language. Yeah, all of it. Like it's very intense. And so for me, it does take a lot of mental energy to combat that feeling and to stay present in the conversation, depending on what it is.
You said that you do remember the last time, so when was it?
It was the Studio 10 spot.
Studio 10 spot?
Yeah, when I had the interview with the news on Studio 10 and I came home. That situation.
Fair.
Yeah. Also, I find that when I do have these physiological responses, I also am yelling at people in my head a lot. So there's that.
To be fair, your body language is also yelling.
Yes.
I'm thinking about that, and I feel like you're movements, like you said, I get very stiff. I feel like your movements and your presence gets very loud and obvious, and like no subtlety exists.
Mm-mm.
No, yeah, nothing is minor anymore. It's everything is decisive and big and
But
undeniable.
but in this context, one, I don't yell. I
N-
may talk more
no.
loudly and more deeply. Like I do. I also know
You
that I drop my
well,
voice.
you project very well
Yeah,
without having to necessarily raise your volume.
I drop
So it's
my tone a
actually really
lot.
difficult for me to say that you don't yell, because it still feels like it feels the same, my love. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're not technically wrong, but it feels a lot like being
But can I
yelled
tell
at.
you, this is why I've been so good at what I do and all the different things that I've done is because that, well, and I think the thing about it is too,
Mhm.
for me, that comes from, I want to say that comes from my law enforcement background,
Yeah.
but it even goes back further. That comes from
Mm.
growing up in Cadillac,
I could see
where
that.
like
You got to pick
you
your fights.
you got to pick your fights, but also you don't
And
want people to fuck with you, and so you
yeah,
have to,
fight.
well, it's not like it was for me anyways, because of
Right.
who I am growing
Right.
up there. Like I had to have that projection of do not
Yeah.
step to me.
Yeah.
And so that was very helpful in carrying over into law enforcement, which I can't, oh, can I just tell you, it makes me feel so proud how many times I was able to just stop shit by walking in and saying, hey.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. But yeah, I would say from my perspective, your body language gets very loud.
Very loud. Like,
Yes.
just how? Like, how?
I think it's because like you generally are a hand talker,
Mm-hmm. Oh
but
my God, so
like,
much.
right?
Yeah.
But in those moments, it's not that you talk more with your hands or even less with your hands. It's that when you talk with your hands, it's more pronounced. It's like, have you ever seen someone yell in sign language?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, like that. What
Okay.
do, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's louder movements,
Mm-hmm.
right?
So they're a little bit bigger. They're a little bit
Yeah,
more
I
bold.
literally said that.
Yeah.
You're
I'm sorry.
you're yeah, bigger, bolder,
More
more
sharp, more
more
defined.
pronounced.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't say not like how I get enunciated or like more rigid, but like arm sweeps are maybe broader than they normally would be, or
Mm,
maybe you move your arm further out than you normally would in that
okay.
particular movement, or spread your hand wider than you normally would in
Mm,
that movement, or like
yeah.
all of your movements are just a little bit more, just a little bit more,
Just more.
right? Your presence is a little bit more,
Mm.
your voice is
Oh
a little
man.
bit more.
Tell you.
It's like someone turned the volume up
This
on
is why I
you.
have such great stage presence.
Yes, you're wonderful.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Anyway,
so
but I appreciate those observations. Do you feel like that's something I should work on
I, for what purpose?
when I am upset as part of my body language in navigating a conflict? Do you feel that is something I should actually work on?
No, I think you're extremely clear in conflict,
Okay.
and I don't think that takes away from that clarity in any way.
Okay. Thanks.
Of course. The fifth sign: failed repair attempts. When a person rejects their partner's attempt to reduce conflict, when the four horsemen rule a couple's communication, repair attempts often go unnoticed.
Mm,
Failed repairs escalate conflict. Successful repair attempts help reduce one's stress level and prevent flooding. Think back to a time when you now realize your partner was attempting to make a repair. Write about it below. So
before you say something, before you
yes.
say this, Can I just say, honestly, I feel like I am horrible at making repair attempts.
Really?
I do. I don't actually feel like I do it very often, to be
Make the
honest.
repair attempt?
Yeah.
Do you get the opportunity?
I don't know. Actually another good question.
Because to be fair, there are certain things that you're not good at just because you don't get the chance to do them ever, because I'm very,
Mm-hmm.
about certain things.
Mm. Oh man. Now that you've asked this question, I can tell the next time we have conflict and when the I I think it will hit me in the next conflict, this moment right now,
Okay.
because when I was going through this, I was like, what the hell is she going to answer? I don't think I ever make the repair attempt, honestly.
Hmm.
So now I'm curious as to what your answer was.
Oh, well, I specifically picked a time where I did not accept your repair attempt.
That's what I wrote too. That's what I thought the assignment was.
Yeah, it doesn't actually specifically say that though. Not reading it now, I
Oh my
realize.
god, right? But that's how I took it too.
Anyway, so there have been several times that you have tried to make a joke when I'm particularly irritated about something. I can't think of anything specific, but I know there have been a few times that
Hmm.
you've tried to use humor. And if you use sarcasm or a similar type of humor, I really don't always pick up on that attempt right away. And it's not a conscientious rejection of the repair attempt.
Hmm.
It's usually that I'm irritated enough to just be in a very literal mindset.
Mm.
And also I will say that even when I'm not upset, I sometimes have trouble with jokes because I am like, no, it's not that funny because it's factually incorrect. Let me tell you how. Listen, that eye roll and display of contempt right now is not appreciated, just to be very
It
clear.
is a conversation we have had. It is a
What,
conversation we
you
have
think
had.
that you're better than me just because just but yes, so I don't always pick up on humor right away.
Hmm.
And even sometimes when I realize something is a joke, there's something in my brain that forgets that, like, acknowledging the joke before picking apart is really important.
Oh Jesus,
And
I
so
know.
I'm sorry. I don't know why.
Should I nudge you and be like,
If I'm doing it
repair attempt?
if I'm doing it to someone else, definitely nudge me and be like, "Don't explain why it's not funny." Please
Okay.
save me from myself.
Yeah, but like for us, should I nudge you and be like, hey, RA, repair attempt?
I mean, you can, but I will say I also realize what's happening about halfway through my own explanation. I'd say 60 to 70% of the time. I'm just like, and I shouldn't even be doing this right
That's fair.
now. So yeah, I would say that's really the only failed repair attempts I can think of, is when jokes are poorly placed or poorly received due to certain uh due to attitudes or
Okay.
whatever reason.
All right. Well, let me just
But I
say,
do appreciate you. Sorry, I just noticed at the bottom it says to share it and express appreciation for your attempt. Thank you for trying.
you're welcome. Okay, first of all, when you were like jokes, I instantly wanted to be like, get out of my brain.
Hey, this is serious.
Okay,
Don't joke with me right now.
whatever. Get out of here with that. Okay, so here's a fun stacked. Here's a fun stat about repair. So basically he talks about this is why he can accurately predict divorce by hearing only one conversation between a husband and wife, is what he explicitly puts.
Mm-hmm.
The failure of repair attempts is an accurate marker for an unhappy future. The
Mm-hmm.
presence of the four horsemen alone predicts divorce with an 82% accuracy rate.
Oof.
But when you add in the failure of repair attempts, the accuracy rate reaches into the 90s. In fact, 84% of the newlyweds who were high on the four horsemen but repaired effectively were in stable, happy marriages
Wait.
6 years later.
Would that put them on their high horse?
Stop it.
I'm just asking.
Get out of here. Get out of here with that. Jesus. In emotionally intelligent marriages, I hear a wide range of successful repair attempts. So, my answer to this question, think back to a time when you now realize that your partner was attempting to make a repair. I feel like the way that it was written, that was the goal, is to get you to think of a time when you didn't accept it.
Right.
And I wrote, I can't recall the situation specifically, but I do recall a few times when you have tried to make a joke and I deadpan looked at you and said, this isn't funny and I don't appreciate the joke.
Yeah. No, I can remember. Yeah. I recall that happening a time or two.
Yeah.
And I take it less as a rejection of the repair attempt and more as a acknowledgement that the mood is not right for joking to be a successful repair attempt.
Thank you. I appreciate that. At least I acknowledge what you were doing. I mean, I didn't say, hey, your joke is a repair attempt, isn't. But at least I see where you're at. But in the moment, I'm like, I don't need this right now. I'm still in my feelings. This is not okay in this moment.
Right. Well, I think we've all been in a situation where, the situation is the situation and you're going to have to take steps to fix it. But in just the moment of realizing what it is, you kind of just want to be like, and lighten the mood about the fact that it sucks. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people aren't ready for the mood to be lightened. People need the moment to be stuck in the grief of things not being how they want them to be.
People need to just be in the feelings that they're in sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, that can go a little too far when you start lashing out at the person trying to lighten the mood.
That's also true.
Instead of just saying like, I'm not ready. It's too soon. Too soon for joking.
That's fair. And at least there is the acknowledgement, right? But
Yes.
yeah, lashing out. Yeah, there's a lot of good examples in the book of couples that they watched in the Love Lab and explicit quotes that they have from the couples in these different sections.
The last sign in predicting divorce: bad memories. When a relationship isn't going well, couples become entrenched in a negative view of their partner and their relationship and often rewrite their history in a negative way.
This one kills me. I'm not going to even lie. This one kills me.
Yes. Think back to the early days of your relationship. What are some of your favorite memories?
Oh, I had so much fun. I was like, I could keep going.
I didn't expand on most of them. I just kind of wrote like a little. Anyway, I'll read mine, but
wait, before you read this,
yes,
I want to read something from the book. I know that I've been going. No, I know that I've been doing that before I go, but because these are so good and positive, I want to start with a little something.
Okay.
When a relationship gets consumed by negativity, it's not only the couple's present and future life together that are put at risk, their past is in danger too. When I interview couples, I usually ask about the history of their marriage or relationship. I have found over and over the couples who are deeply entrenched in a negative view of their spouse and their marriage often rewrite their past. Based on their answers to questions about their early courtship, their wedding, their first year together, I can predict their chances of divorce, even if I'm not privy to their current feelings. They a lot of times also remember everything positively. When they talk about tough times they've had, they glorify the struggles they've been through, drawing strength from the adversity that they've weathered together. But when a marriage is not going well, history gets rewritten for the worse. So now she recalls that he was 30 minutes late to getting to the ceremony. or he focuses on all the time that she spent talking to the best man at the rehearsal dinner or flirting with his friends, as it seems now. Another sad sign is when either or both partners find the past difficult to remember. It has become so unimportant or painful that they've let it fade away. Can I tell you, this one hits home for me because I've actually had this conversation with a few people, and because we had just gotten married and people
Yeah.
talk about their weddings and whatever, there have been people who, and every time they say it, I go, oh no. There have been people that is what I hear. Oh, well, you know, make sure that you set your rules because this is what I experienced from my wedding. And it's all negative. And I go, oh God,
they're not in a
let
good
me
place.
help you.
Right.
Right. So I think it's worth noting that if you're in that space, maybe it's time to do some work. So what were your positive experiences?
Good memories.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a bullet list. Walking the river trail in Saranac.
Get out of my head. It's on my list.
Sex in the morning and movies all night in Saranac.
Oh,
learning how to work together on properties. And then I wrote taco.
Yeah.
Which I think it's a really good point to point out that was actually a disagreement that we had that got so emotional. You walked away from me because you were so angry.
So mad.
You were so angry and frustrated in the moment, and now it's one of my favorite memories.
Me too.
And we use it to this day. We reference it all the time when we realize that we're just both getting really worked up unnecessarily about something.
Our repair attempt word.
Yeah,
taco.
it kind of is.
It is.
Because we remember, like, it's okay to just take a minute. Like, we'll get it. We'll get it.
Yeah.
We could take a minute right now, but we'll get it. But yeah, and then I wrote our first terrible restaurant experience.
Which one?
It was that some steakhouse in Grand Rapids in early 2021, and they had put on that weird alcohol like, it took forever to get our drinks, and then 10 minutes later they were like, we have to take your drinks now because they have some new rule about no alcohol on your table after 10 p.m.
Yep.
And I was like, could you have maybe A, told us that rule when we ordered our drinks, or B, maybe brought our drinks in a timely enough manner for us to enjoy them?
Thank you.
I don't know. One of those would be great. But anyway, I love that memory because it was the very first time that I saw you in conflict. And it was in conflict with waitstaff management, obviously. But like, that's a circumstance that, especially at that time, was still very uncomfortable for me to cause any kind of scene in a restaurant or whatever. And the way that you handled it, well, first made me really respect how you handled conflict, but it also made me oddly comfortable with being that close to the conflict, because I also don't like being near conflict or watching it secondhand. And I think that just, anyway, it's a whole thing.
But can we also say that I didn't actually cause a scene?
Well, no, you didn't cause a scene, but it was one of those things that, like, people could have, a Karen would have, or whatever.
Sorry for anybody listening that's named Karen that isn't a Karen.
Yeah, you know what we mean. Anyway, museum visits and the immersive Van Gogh experience in Chicago, and riding the train, riding the subway in New York City / also that entire trip, watching you at speaking engagements and networking get-togethers, reading together, our homemade charcuterie dates, the scavenger hunt Valentine's Day, dancing at the club together, playing cards together, playing board games with friends, learning how to hang glide together, even if you were a little irritated at me about that entire vacation most of the time.
But that's the thing, even now, right? Like, when we look back at bad memories, if we weren't in a good space,
they're not bad memories.
If I were, especially, I think that, especially with the North Carolina trip, that would be a big
so
indicator.
Easy.
It'd be so easy.
Those were some of my favorite memories. But, like, I don't know, all my memories are favorite memories. memories.
Same.
Even our disagreements are good memories because we always figure it out.
Same. Okay. So what are some of your favorite memories? And I put, where do I begin? And so I put, we just talked about the pizza place nachos.
Mm-hmm.
Those nachos are delicious. Were, because it's not in business anymore.
Yeah.
And then one of the things I put in was our wedding was filled with elements of the early days of
Yes.
everything that is part of my favorite memories of us up until that point. Just like it was filled with lavender, and we had photos in the woods, and our first dance was a song that you actually shared with me while we were still talking on Bumble. As like, because I think we gave a list of like what are some of our favorite songs, and that was your top favorite song, and it ended up being our first dance song, which I loved. Long walks along the river with lavender lattes, the dog park at the cemetery with Nora,
Yo.
which was weirdest place to have a dog park, but at the back of the cemetery, and everybody went there in that little part of the neighborhood. Everybody went there.
Listen, people visit graves. Why not let puppies do it too?
And it's weird that people do that, but whatever.
That's okay.
We've talked about this. And then I put the best pizza ever in Chicago of our first trip ever traveling together.
Bob's Pizza was good.
Which was so good, all of it. And then, my God, the Italian food.
Orzo's, yeah.
The train ride. Like, I could have listed a lot of things, and I probably would have listed very much what you wrote, but these are all some, like, I feel like every memory is a favorite memory with you for the most part. And even in times of conflict, we've learned a lot, and we still laugh about them now and all of that. And
some of our worst times have been great learning experiences.
Like Portugal?
You read my mind. You know exactly what I was talking about.
We would visit.
We wouldn't live there.
We liked it. We didn't fall in love with it.
Yeah. Not enough to go forever.
Yeah.
So reflect and journal. Reflecting on the 6 destructive patterns, which pattern do you recognize occurring most often in your relationship? And this especially was back to like the second question or whatever. Defensiveness.
Yeah, it's interesting too because I picked one of the 4 horsemen as mine too.
Yeah. So I said, again, out of the 6 signs, harsh startup, the 4 horsemen of apocalypse, which is negative communication patterns. 3rd sign, flooding. 4th, body language. 5th, failed repair attempts. And 6th, bad memories. So for me, the pattern that I recognize occurring most often is the negative communication pattern of defensiveness. Why are you mad at me? I work really hard to be amazing. Or stonewalling. Why won't you tell me what's wrong? Were the ones that I see most often in our relationship. What changes would you like to make? I would like to be better about catching myself before becoming defensive so that we can address issues more quickly and efficiently. I think that defensiveness really just slows down the progress.
Yeah, that's fair.
So what pattern do you recognize?
So I too went with the second. Okay, if we're honest about it, I looked at this and I was like, well,
yeah,
shit.
The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse
we don't really fall into many of these, if any, except for the second sign, right? And the ones that we do, I think that we've got a good handle on mitigating.
Yes.
So I put the 4 horsemen, stonewalling was what I put. It says, how does it play out in your dialogue? I don't actually know if I put dialogue, but if what I put relates to dialogue, but here's what I did put. It causes delay and rectification, which leads to more moments of unease than necessary. It delays the resolution process, ultimately delaying our positive and happy moments. And then what changes would you like to make? I would like to make it my standard practice of giving no more than 1 hour of lag time before addressing the issue. So you can put a timer on if you want.
Yeah?
Yes. If you're
Next
like, if you're
time
like,
on the Love Spark podcast.
if you're like,
Stevie is dead.
if you're like, you're being pissy, what is the problem? And I'm like, I'm fine. You'd be like, okay, here's your one.
Alexa, set a timer for 1 hour.
Would you stop?
Any hoots.
Point being,
Thank-
but also as we close, I do want to read over one of the things that in the book they have is the end draws near, but it's not over till it's over.
So true.
So in the end draws near. So here's the positive note. So we talked about all the ways that you can predict
see divorce coming on the horizon.
But on a positive note, he writes, our lab studies indicate that these emotionally distant couples do divorce, but they split after an average of 16 years compared with 5.6 years for couples whose conflict discussions are overrun by the 4 horsemen.
So it'll last a long time before it ends. But
yeah.
Also,
so if you don't have the 4 horsemen within your conflict, what it's saying is if the 4 horsemen don't actually show up because people can fall into all the other ones, that you will actually be together for 16 years compared to 5.6 years if you have the 4 horsemen, which to me, it's like death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
Right?
Which takes longer.
Also, whatever.
Then the big backstabbing criticism mixed with.
But then he writes, so remember, 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
Some people leave a marriage literally by divorcing. Others do so by staying together but leading parallel lives.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the route, there are 4 final stages that signal the death knell of a relationship. The couples see their marital problems as severe.
Mm-hmm.
Talking things over seems useless. Partners try to solve problems on their own. The couple lead parallel lives. Loneliness sets in.
And loneliness setting in really is the last stage. It really is the end.
That's very true. And so he says, I know that the key to reviving or divorce-proofing relationship is not simply how you handle your disagreements, but how you engage with each other when you're not fighting.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, when a couple come to me complaining that sex has become routine, infrequent, or virtually non-existent, I don't start by handing them a sex manual. Instead, I guide them through the 3 principles so they can reinforce and rediscover the camaraderie that brought them together in the first place. So the first 3 principles, excuse me. So at the end of the day, basically what we're saying is that when you really work on the first 3 principles, which we will dive into starting next week, we're going to hit the principles.
Mm-hmm.
When you really work on those, it actually allows you to do the other work, the more deeper work later.
Yeah.
And so really foundationally building the friendship is very, very important. But just because you might be in that space doesn't necessarily mean that you have to stay in that space. And I always look at it like this. For instance, let's say that you've tried all the couples therapy and you still don't feel like you're getting anywhere. 1, have you gone to a Gottman therapist? And 2, if you are just looking for something different, this is where going through this process of working through the 7 principles can be helpful and beneficial to your relationship if you're committed to practicing these things on a consistent basis, which we will get into starting next week.
Indeed, indeed.
Well, this was a little bit longer. Them horsemen, damn it. Tell you. Crazy.
Negative communication patterns, they can do some real damage.
Yep. So it was a little bit longer, but thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back next week, starting with the very first principle, love map.
See you next week.
Before we end the show, there's a special invitation for you. I want to invite you to join the upcoming Love Spark Focus Group. It's my privilege to guide couples to relationship wellness, but I can only do that by getting honest feedback and discussion about the process. This focus group is free and can only accommodate 50 couples.
We are also looking for couples who would like to join the discussion by being guests on the podcast. So head over to milovespark.com to apply for both opportunities.
As always, thank you for listening. Find us on Instagram or Facebook at Love Spark Dates. And until next time, listen intently, speak kindly, and cherish each other.
Indeed.